if there's anything that like, there's our recording Zoom robot, but if there's anything that you want to review after today's session, I want to make sure that's recorded for you. So what will happen is I'll send that out to Vance, and then Vance will relay that to everyone in the meeting. All right, well, let's go and get started. I'm going to share my screen and we'll begin. So hello, my name is David. Let me go ahead and introduce myself. I'm David here, and I've been a teacher for the last 10 years. So I started teaching in 3rd grade, and then I got moved to 4th grade, and then I got moved to 5th grade, and then I moved to 6th grade, and I moved around a lot. I saw that as pretty annoying at first, but now, 10 years down the road, I see it as an absolute gift. I have been able to work in so many different grade levels in just 10 years. And that's really helping the work that I do now, which is supporting teachers with our tools that we'll be introducing today in Figma, specifically our whiteboarding tool, FigJam. So I am now the education learning specialist here at Figma, and I am most recently coming out of teaching last year. If you had asked me, I was teaching precision manufacturing, English and history at a middle school. That's not one class, by the way. Those were multiple classes at a middle school here on the Central Coast of California. Now, you can probably already tell that this guy, David, loves to talk. So let's go ahead and set a timer here for 53 minutes to make sure that we actually don't talk until Friday, when you can actually, really bump that playlist that we were showing earlier. All right, so here's a picture of my kiddos. These are my students with some very oversized Figma swag that Figma sent us last year because they were using it a ton. They wanted to celebrate my students. And so I just wanted to hone in the fact that I believe that education is always and only about the kids. And I think we can all, if we have different views on pedagogy or different views on homework, whatever it may be, we can all rally around kids. And I hope that today's session really pushes you forward into the future with tools that can really enhance their ability in the classroom. So let's talk about our objectives today. My main objective is to have you learn about FigJam's features and functions for classroom use, as well as industry readiness. So we're going to talk about 2 things today: classroom use and industry readiness. Okay. How we're going to do that is we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to introduce FigJam to you, which I'm actually in a FigJam file right now. So you're kind of seeing the product or the tool. And then we're going to talk about some classroom examples. I'm also going to show you some industry, how it can help students become industry ready. And then we're going to have a time at the end where I'd love for us to share our ideas. I want this to be as collaborative as possible. We'll have a little Q&A. And just a heads up, this will be recorded. So if you're like, wow, this guy is going really fast, this is too much, like drinking out of a fire hose, you can go ahead and listen to that on your own pace. Or if you're like, he's going too slow, you can sure as heck put it on 2 times speed like my students would do, which makes me sound crazy. All right, so what's FigJam? FigJam is a free online whiteboard that gets students excited about learning, fosters deeper collaboration, and builds up creative thinking skills. It's really awesome for amplifying student voice, making learning visual, building class community, and building industry standard skills. All right, a couple things I want to note about FigJam before we get started is that FigJam is absolutely free. We're not going to charge you. We're not going to all of a sudden have some hidden fees. FigJam is absolutely free, does not cost anything for educators. It does cost, like Netflix and Airbnb pay for our product, but you do not have to. You still have to pay for those products. So free for education, always. Next, it's easy to deploy. So if your district wants to deploy our free licenses for education, then all it is simply a chat with us. We send you 10 licenses or 10,000 licenses or 50,000 licenses if that is what your school wants. It's the same lift for us. So it's very easy to deploy. You do that through your Google Workspace. Next, we have a Jamboard importer. So if y'all are really familiar with Jamboard or another online whiteboarding tool, the Jamboard importer is live. I don't have a plan to demo this in our session, but if we have time at the end, I might go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Or if you're like, yes, show the importer, I can go ahead and be convinced easily. All righty. Well, we're going to jump into FigJam as the most delightful online whiteboard. Now you're like, David, you're a little biased because you work at that, Figma thing. And you're right. You're right. I'm biased. I'm also biased because I've seen FigJam work so well for my students. I've used it for the last couple of years at the middle school level. I wanted to show you 3 different use cases as to how I used FigJam to really help prepare my students for the future. All right, so the first one is collaboration and authentic collaboration. I think a lot of times in education, we throw down collaboration as like a thing that is supposed to happen, a thing that is supposed to be done in a lesson to make it good and engaging. But I think we've sometimes lost the art of authentic and true effective collaboration. So one thing that I did is I really wanted my students to be a part of all the things that we did. I wanted them to be driving discussion. I wanted my students to be giving feedback to my lessons. I wanted my students to be learning from one another and not just me. Because I'm only limited in so many things. I don't, the lie that I know everything is definitely a lie. So here what we did, before we even cracked open FigJam, I had my students make a little bio card in Google Slides. They were familiar with Google Slides. They knew Google Slides. So let's teach through Google Slides. They added a picture, added their name, and then they added some things they liked, they didn't like, and they went in, added in a favorite quote, and 2 truths and a lie, which is one of my favorite games. So in 2 truths and a lie, you're going to go ahead and have 3 statements. 2 of them are true, and well, one's a lie. So you're trying to sniff out which one the lie is. And then also, if you could make sure that you're on mute, I think we got some feedback coming from someone. But this student says, I have a guinea pig, it's pets. I have, let's see here. I have not had a single sleepover. And then I hate gophers. So I'm thinking, the lie here's got to be the sleepover, which, Kyle actually confessed she's had lots of sleepovers. She actually came from one the night before. And so what we can do here is I can hover over each one of these stamps that students had, and I can see who thinks what. This collaboration isn't just like a plop of activity, but it's actually tied to who is thinking based on their accounts when they're logged in. And this was great. Students were able to reflect back on this. We visited this for an entire week where I had 5 students sharing about themselves at a time. And if you're anything like me, when you're in school and you had to share in front of the class, it was near to terrifying. But what I can say, and I can even talk to the student Abby right here, who might have been a little bit more hesitant to share things. When Abby saw that students were interacting on their page, there was a confidence that came from that. There was this confidence that, you know what, people maybe enjoyed interacting with my two truths and a lie, or they had some things to say. I took out the student comments just for privacy's sake. But it was really cool to see how they were automatically able to build authentic relationships in a platform that even Netflix designers are using to build and mock up their apps. Then what we did is I had this massive section right here, and this is called the class galaxy. All I did is I zoomed in over here and I showed them how to use the marker tool and change the color to white, and how you can go ahead and make a star. And I showed them how you can make the star really cute. Oh gosh, look at that. And then I showed them, okay, 10 minutes on the timer. How can we go ahead and in 10 minutes make a galaxy of creation together? How can we accomplish so much more as a group than individually? And within 10 minutes, they made this. If you're teaching middle school, the Among Us characters. If you've taught, anything, that student humor with cheese aliens is awesome. And so this was super fun and special, and kind of became this anchor that we revisited throughout the semester. It's like, hey, look what we've been able to do the first week, like day 4 of us being together, you made this amazing canvas. And when the class is having a hard time, or their students that are having inner conflict, I could always kind of come back to the say, hey, how do we want to operate today? As individuals or as a group? And it was a really cool anchor for them. So the next thing that I did, that's kind of like, how to bring students to authentic collaboration, something that they'll be really, involved with as they go into their world of work in the future. Next is like project management and brainstorming. So this one was a FigJam where students all I did in this FigJam was add a picture. I added in 2 questions, and then I added in like a direction to draw something. So my students, we were working with inclusive and defensive design, looking at, okay, how can we 3D print these small benches that are going to be inclusive and not deter people? And we looked at this picture, and the question was this. Well, 2 questions. Who does this bench benefit? And who does this bench not consider? Now, if you see this, there's this like hidden symbol, LOVED, loved, is spelled out in the bench. So, some hidden meanings there. And I want to highlight the student Max real quick. Max, similar to the student I mentioned before, probably would not have shared an idea in front of the class had they not seen a couple of people answer, the teacher being 2 of them, if they had not seen some students adding these stamps to their idea. Max captured an idea. I wanted to hear from all students. How can we create processes as teachers, as educators, to hear from everyone and not just the raised hands? So I heard from their group, and then Max stood up to share. Max shared this. Abled people can use this. People who have wheelchairs and stuff like that can't. And if there's no backrest, so old people or young kids could lose their balance. And like, so insightful. And that would have been lost in a classroom discussion had there not been a chance for Max to capture his idea in a sticky note, to seeing some other, students adding in some other thoughts. And I think, like, how many Maxes do we hear or do we miss out from hearing from on a day-to-day basis? It's a lot. And so what was really cool about using FigJam was to see, and these are my groups working side by side. So like for my green group who was having a little bit of trouble, all I could do as the teachers be like, hey, check out, your blue group over there. Look what they're doing. They're doing a lot of stuff. And now I'm not like this authority telling them what to do. They're able to match up and look at what their peers are doing and learn from them. So yeah, there's a lot of, as I work for Figma now, we do so many brainstorms. We use sticky notes all the time. It's about like capturing a lot of ideas, let as many flowers bloom as possible, and then find those that really do stand out. And there's ways to do that with voting, with stamps, and we'll get into that in just a moment altogether. All right, and the last one I want to show is kind of project mapping. So this one, again, I have all of my groups in a class. I have my red group, my table group, 6 table groups, and they were working on making, I can actually zoom in here, these laser cut earrings. So we were working with precision manufacturing, and they made this stunning display. They actually went to a farmer's market and were able to sell them. And we had like a whole finance team who was working on, price points and upselling. We had a whole design team or branding team that was working on the designs of the displays. We had our manufacturing team who was actually operating the laser cutters. We also had our assembly team who was assembling all the pieces. Like we're talking like thousands of pieces here as you get it. I don't know if anyone's ever made an earring before. I had not. But it is, wow, finger cramps. So these are my students, and it's about giving them a chance to not just have project-based learning, but I don't know if this is an actual term, maybe I thought it up, but how can we try to think of like product-based learning? And a lot of projects are great and they're fantastic, and they give kids like these exercises to really enhance their skills, but oftentimes they take their drawings or whatever, and they don't become these viable products that they get to like test out in the world and see how they're accepted or not and how they could refine them. So I really tried to hone in product-based learning. We designed these in Figma Design, which we're not covering today, but all of the planning was done in FigJam. And these earrings, they look fantastic, but at first they looked like this, where it looks like, I don't know, a radish stuck in a t-shirt, but that's okay. Sorry. And this is actually my drawing, so I can make fun of it. But it's about giving kids a chance to be brave, to be bold, and to feel like their ideas are accepted, even if it looks like a radish. But which I guess that was, I thought it was a student's drawing, but that was mine. Let's make fun of Sabrina here really quick. Sabrina's drawing Moral Rock, but looks more like my grandmother's apple pie. But me and Sabrina have. Grant loves Moral Rock, by the way. So this is great. It's about trying to get all of these ideas captured, and how can we as a class produce, and they had like 20 minutes to think of these ideas, and they thought of more than 48 earring designs. Then what we were able to do is go in, they were stamping them, they were voting on them, and we synthesized down what are like the top 10 we want to work on and really try to flesh out. So this is like project mapping. It's also giving kids a chance to see that a lot of brainstorms do start at a very high level where we're capturing a ton of ideas and they synthesize down to make something like this. And I wasn't able to take all of my students. I tried to get my bus driver's license so I could, but didn't come in time. And I know, yeah, me and a bus driving, yeah, the music would have been bumping, but yeah, I was able to take about 12 students to this event. And then we were also able to sell at our open house, which was really fun. And what was amazing, and I'm just going to highlight this really quick, was the empathy that kids brought in. Now you can see that we definitely upsold. Like it cost $1.10 to make an earring, and we were selling them at this event for $20. But one thing one of my students brought up is we were brainstorming. Our finance team was leading a meeting. And yeah, these like 7th and 8th graders leading these meetings. They were asking about price point, and a kid brought up in a sticky note that the price was too high. Like his mom would never buy them. And then students asked, like, why would your mom never buy them? And he said, he got super vulnerable about like his mom working 3 jobs and like $20, that's something she wouldn't put towards like an earring, but maybe like investing for a family meal. And then the kids were like, oh, heck yeah, let's charge $5. And like they dropped the price to $5. It was amazing. So really cool to see how in something as simple as like a FigJam and giving kids a chance to go ahead and work together, they were able to create these really, really cool things. And yeah, I love when we charge our local community $20 and then you charge your school community $5. It's pretty awesome. All right. So I'm going to bring you into the file in just a minute, but I want you to be set up for success here. Looks like we got about 20 people here. So there's going to be a lot of folks moving around. Now, when you're in the file, you're going to see a lot of cursors moving around in this file. If you're ever overwhelmed by the amount of cursors moving around, you can always go to the top right and turn the multiplayer cursors off. That's a feature. And I had some students definitely turn those off if they were a little overwhelmed by the amount of things moving on the canvas. I like the cursors, so I'm going to keep them. When you're in FigJam, there are a couple things you'll want to note. Now, the biggest thing I want you to note is the toolbar. That is right down here that I am circling in this red cloud. The toolbar is what you see animating right down below. It's where I grab my pen from. It's where I can grab this circle from. It's where I can grab this sticky note from and add it to the canvas. Whoops, I actually plopped on here by accident. And it's where I can grab other things like stickers, which I'm just going to leave to you as a little preview, but it's pretty mind-blowing. Okay. Now, when you're in this file, which I guess count down like 1 more minute, to move around, you're going to notice that we're in an infinite canvas. This is not a Jamboard. This is not a Google slide. This is an infinite canvas. Some strengths to that is it really allows you as the teacher, the educator, to build things like an entire group project board, like I showed you with my students' earrings. Some things that are difficult about it is navigation. So let me set you up for success. To navigate, you're going to grab your 2 fingers on your trackpad and pan left and right. When you do that, you'll be able to go left and right into our canvas. Okay, pan left. I can keep dragging and clicking, or I can keep panning to move. Also, you can hold spacebar to move around and click if you're using a mouse, and that helps. But like, this is a massive canvas and I want to get over to my sticky notes and it's taking forever. I'm stuck on this, mind-blown sticker. To zoom out, take your 2 fingers and pull to zoom out, pinch to zoom in, pull to zoom out, and pinch to zoom in. Okay. When I do that, I can now operate in and out of the canvas. This kind of has, if y'all remember, like 2013 using Prezi. This is, I know, flashbacks to Prezi and PTSD, but that's how you can zoom in and out of our canvas. I actually love Prezi, by the way. No hate on Prezi. And another thing you probably want to notice is I like to operate in like the 35%, if not like 50% range. That allows me to see things pretty closely. But if I'm on a sticky note, I'm pretty close. I'm at like 100+% here. And that allows me to go ahead and see what I'm writing. All right. I think I spelled everything right. There we go. It's always embarrassing when I have to spell in front of you. All righty. So our first task is to contribute to our FigJam. You're going to be going on over to these yellow sticky notes. And I put a lot in here just in case we had a lot of folks, but you can spread out. And what you're going to do is you're going to zoom in. I like to zoom in around, again, like over 100%. Is you're going to click on the sticky note and change the color because you're like, David, that yellow, it's not really jiving with my vibe today. Then you can double click in and write your name. If you forgot your name, I think Vance has all of your names memorized, so ask him. You can then go ahead and let us know what your role is. I'm an education learning specialist at Figma. And let us know your favorite sweet. Mine right now is sea salt caramel ice cream. And I don't know why I capitalized things and didn't capitalize things, but there we go. Sea salt caramel ice cream. Oh, it's just the best. Total chef's kiss to that one. A few things you can do is you can change text in here. I can go ahead and double click in, make it bold, make it a little bit bigger if I want my name to stand out. I can also go and double click and change other fonts on the canvas and make it nice. So that's your task, is to make a sticky note with your name. Again, if you forgot, ask Vance. Let me know your role, and then let me know your favorite sweet. And once you're done with that, you're going to grab a stamp and start giving some love to some other folks in the file. Stamp their stickies if you like what their sweet is, or if you just like their name, or if you like what their role is. Okay. Also, there's some cards over here that are a little bit of just kind of tips on what to do, but you're going to, you don't even need to grab a sticky note, but you can just click on one that's existing. Okay. I'm now going to go ahead and I'm going to send us the file in the Zoom chat right here. And let me go ahead and actually zoom in a little bit right here for you. And let's send this link in the chat right here. So if you navigate on over to our Zoom, let me make sure I'm sending this to everyone. Awesome. And go ahead and access that, making sure, Carrie, I didn't just send it to you, did I? Which would be, again, embarrassing. But go and head on into the Zoom chat and find a sticky note. Oh, nice. It's so fun to see your faces popping in the top right. Find a sticky note. Hello, Patricia. Good to see you. And write in your name. Write in your role. Again, try zooming in by pinching or pulling. And then to move around the canvas, you can hold the space bar while clicking, or you can navigate panning left and right on your trackpad. All righty. So you can hold down space bar and click to move, space bar and click, and then pinch to zoom and pull to zoom out. And if you could go ahead and add in your name, your role, and your favorite sweet. We'll take a couple minutes to do this. And once you're done with that, go ahead and give some folks some love on their stickies by adding in some stamps. So for example, chocolate of all kinds, Vance. I mean, absolutely. I'm gonna give a heart to that and also a thumbs up because yes, chocolate of all kind. Nice. Another thing you'll see is that on Vance's, Vance has authorship on, so I can see that Vance is the actual author of the sticky note if Vance, forgot his name and couldn't put it there. So, even Figma's helping you out. All right, Patricia, great to see you in the file. Randy, good to see you. Awesome. Eric, 8th grade social studies. I'm going to go ahead. And again, if the stamps are in the bottom right, or you can hit the E key. Love 8th grade social studies. So fun. One thing I would do is when you're working on the size of your font, I would try to keep your font to size medium or small. That way it won't make your sticky too big and land over someone else's idea or the way that they're adding things in. Nice. I can see Carrie's also a fan of chocolate. Awesome. And let's take like 2 more minutes. There's no rush to this. We're getting to know each other. You've already heard enough about me. I'd like to get to know a little bit about you. And, I'm actually going to give you some time. We're going to put some music on. So if you have, this is where DJ Dave wishes he could actually still DJ, but I get to pretend like it in FigJam. I'm going to put some lo-fi music on. And in about 31 minutes on our timer, we'll collect back and have a little discussion. But your job right now, write your name, add a sticky, and then find some other folks in the file to add some stamps to. Stamps, again, can be found over here by hitting the E key or finding the stamps icon down the bottom right. Oh, nice. And Steven's got like an amazing sticker on there. Feel free if you want to, folks like Steven, if you want to be advanced like Steven, add some stickers on. Those are in the bottom under the More section. Oh, Kathy also got those awesome stickers. This is an advanced group right here. Charlene, great to see you. Oh, yeah, I'm a huge fan of dark chocolate. I know Vance is like all chocolates. Let's welcome everything. But I would say for sure, dark chocolate is my favorite. The more cacao percentage you can get, the better. Linda, Trader Joe's chocolates. We're getting specific here. Oh my gosh. I think we have to have another meeting just about chocolate. Is it also like a Keenan Fellows like prerequisite to enjoy chocolate? I think so. Tanya's like peanut butter and chocolate. Wow. We are a unified group. Oh, we got Kay Culver over here with Skittles. Yes. Love it. Add in that fruity candy. Got to give love to the fruity candy. Reese's peanut butter cups, especially the pumpkins. Wait, I thought there was just like the holiday tree or the Christmas tree. I don't know if I've seen the pumpkin. Oh, is that the Halloween one?
The pumpkins are at Halloween, the trees are at Christmas, the eggs are at Easter, but the pumpkins are like the perfect mix of peanut butter and chocolate.
Wow, this sounds like you might have a podcast on this or something. This has like been thought out before.
Or an addiction that I need a 12-step program for.
I'm just hoping there's no pumpkin flavor in it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Pumpkin and chocolate and peanut butter, I think, yeah, might be a little much for me. Oh, awesome. All right, my only complaint in FigJam is that I cannot scratch the record. When I stop the music, it just stops very suddenly, which is sad. I'm trying to talk to our engineers to change that. Okay, so what's cool, if you zoom out a little bit, I know we have a lot of empty spaces here, but we can go ahead and we can see that we're able to capture a ton of ideas. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move some things around here. So I'm going to move some stickies up in here. You might lose some of your stickers, but that's okay. You can relink them if you want to. Let's bring in I'm just going to bring in some other stamps in here, some other folks. Let's just kind of make it, whoopsies. Let's make it a little bit more closer to where everyone is. Drag those in. Love it. Awesome. Mark, want to add you in here. Don't want to lose carries. And this is pretty fantastic. I can multi-select and drag and delete things if I want to, just to kind of clean things up. All right. As you can see right here, we got a lot of really cool ideas captured. And it's really fun to see, like, we can get to know each other right away. And within a process that's like pretty fast and quick, we can hear from everyone, not just folks like myself that are driving the conversation. And I love to see, if you hover over any of those stamps, you can see who your people are, who's like giving love to you on your sticky, who's, also I see Kathy added like this massive star. Kathy's like, yes, to whatever Randy was mentioning. Or you made the star too big on accident. I don't know, either one. But again, this process was something my student showed me. I didn't even know you could use stamps in FigJam until they started using it to affirm each other's ideas. So it's really cool to see how students can guide the conversation here. Okay, we're going to move on over. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask for you to go ahead and just kind of take your hands and put them on your knees. You're not going to touch anything. You're not going to be clicking on anything. Or if you're like, a really eager beaver, Steven, you can even sit on your hands if you want to for that, extra accountability. That's fine. But I'm going to ask that you just don't click on anything because I'm going to spotlight myself. And what happens when I spotlight myself is that my screen is now controlling your screen. And you should be able to see that. If you can't see that, you're going to want to go up to the top and you're going to want to click on my picture. Okay. And then once you have clicked on my picture, you can go ahead and you can see what it is that I'm navigating, moving you around to. Also, we got a nice little green line right here on our Zoom screen, which is, I'm going to leave it. It's fun. All right, we're going to work with ways to engage students or staff inside of a FigJam. How can we hear from everyone? How can we capture all ideas and not just the loudest voices? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use the stamps again, like you're all familiar with now, and we're going to stamp on a would you rather question. The question is this. I think it's one of the best questions ever. And I'm a little biased because I made this up. The question is, would you rather be able to fly, but only at the speed of a snail? If you're like, yes, absolutely, go far left. Or would you rather be able to breathe underwater, but only with your eyes closed? I'm a far right on this one because surfing and swimming, but go ahead. You could grab a stamp and just plop a stamp anywhere on the canvas to let us know. It can be a thumbs up stamp. It could be the star stamp. It could even be your face stamp, which is my favorite stamp to do. But go ahead and plop a stamp anywhere on the canvas and let us know how you feel. Also, another thing to note is if you are on something like you're on the emote where you have the stamp key and you're like, I just keep stamping these stars, hit the escape key on your keyboard and you'll go back to your cursor select. Awesome. Now this is great. Wow. We have some very strong opinions here. Most people are in the middle. But what I can do now, let's say if I'm the instructor or if I'm leading a staff meeting, we're trying to drive an initiative or make a decision, I can say, hey, let's go ahead and hear from folks in the middle. What are some people like Amy who doesn't feel super strongly about this idea? Amy, go ahead and share with us, what you're thinking. Don't have to share with it right now, Amy. I'm not going to make you do that. But then we can kind of hear from folks who are on like the far ends. Like I see Charlene's over here, like absolutely breathe underwater, never can drown. Eric's over here, like fly. Yes, absolutely. Could you fly underwater? My students always bring that up. And then we get into a debate and it was great. But yeah, it's about how can we hear from everyone at once and really quickly. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to move to a click vote activity. Again, if you don't know where we are in the file, you can go to the top right and click on my picture and you'll be right where I am in the canvas. Okay. For this click vote activity, we're going to choose our favorite superpowers or superpowers we would love to have. And my students called me out on this because the question is this: if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And then their follow-up question was, Mr. Curran, you gave us 4 to choose from. Come on. Students they're smart. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your select cursor. If you're on another thing like the pen, hit the escape key and click on the plus icon. I see, Sharice is already on there. Some other folks click the plus icon. And if you could vote for 2 superpowers that you would love to have. One of mine is super sarcasm because I could use that. It's great for teaching middle school. Just go ahead and click on the plus icons there. We'll give you about 1 minute to do that. Again, we're over in the second section of our click vote activity. And wow, I can see teleportation is pretty popular. Also, my students had about a 12-minute follow-up debate on teleportation. Is it also invisibility? And then we got into this whole like time warp conversation. Black holes came up. It was amazing. So I don't know. When you teleport, are you invisible until you get to the spot that you're at? It's a confusing one. The things students think of, I know. So this is great. Now, this is something that I also did when I taught 7th grade world history. This was before we started our study on ancient Rome. We talked about abusive power and how leaders oftentimes in history have abused power. And so students went in and they voted on qualities that they believe make a great leader. And I had about 8 qualities they could choose from. And from there, they were able to break up into groups. And I said, all right, everyone who talked about empathy as a great quality, you're in group number 1. Talk about why that is. And, everyone who talked about strategy as, a great quality, you're in a group now. And so I could really get a good check on my students before we even launched a unit and try to drive that, prior knowledge and use something like a click vote activity. But I also think it's fun to talk about superpowers. And it looks like the number 1 here is teleportation, because I know you'd all teleport to San Luis Obispo to hang out with me right now and go get some chocolate peanut butter cups that are probably on sale because it's past Halloween. All right. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do a alignment scale. So one thing just to note, alignment scales are kind of tricky. So let me explain them really fast. They're down below. You're going to click on this alignment scale based on the question. And the question is this. The first one is, homework is essential for reinforcing learning. I guess it's more of a statement. You're going to click on if you strongly disagree or if you strongly agree. Now, when I click, you're going to see that my little picture pops up in the far right. This is like a little app that I've added to the canvas. You're not going to see yours. And again, if you move the canvas or move something, just hit Control Z. No worries, no worries. So what we're going to do here is click. You're not going to see your vote. You're just going to click on it, but your vote will be casted. It will be saved once we reveal, yes, under the hidden X, once we reveal the answers. This is to kind of give students or staff a chance if you're, giving a question before a unit, or if you're trying to answer like a test question, or if you're trying as a staff to make a decision, just to read the room and get a temperature check. We do this all the time at Figma, where when we're about to drive an initiative, we're about to make a pretty big decision, we check and see how aligned we are. And then awesome, someone just clicked on view results, which is great. And we can see, no, that's fine. You can click on results. Keep those results up there. Don't click on results again, just leave it there. No need to click right now. And we can go ahead and we can see where people land. And this is a great track to run on for discussion. Alignment scales, we use them all the time here at Figma because we're making a lot of decisions, and we're making those decisions, like me, in my father-in-law's garage. So how can we really try to be a little bit more visual and personal by using some visual tools here? Okay, next one are some silly ones. So go ahead and vote on pineapple belongs on pizza. And the last one is education is always and only about the kids, from my favorite author, Mr. Reynolds. So go ahead and do some click votes on those last two. And we'll reveal the results pretty soon. Again, no need to click on the canvas right here. It will go ahead and move really fast for you. Let's go ahead and end those results here. Let me go ahead and show them. Awesome. Love seeing that. Let's go ahead and show these results. Awesome. Love it. Fantastic. And now we have some time to go ahead and talk. Like, this is great. Some wonderful tracks to run on and gives us a process. And this is really nice. I would usually use alignment scales with my students when we're moving through projects. So your group decided on what your capstone project's going to be. How do you all feel about it? And wow, you're actually very unaligned. I'm not going to approve your project. You talk about it. So it's giving power back to the kiddos. So alignment scales are great. And these are all widgets. Okay. And widgets can be found if you're on the Zoom screen, which, you're kind of dancing between the FigJam and the Zoom screen. If you're on the Zoom screen, you're going to go ahead and see me navigating down to widgets by clicking on the more section and then clicking on widgets. And what I did is I typed in align, or I just typed in ALIN, and the alignment scale popped up. I clicked and dragged that onto my canvas, and then I edited it to be whatever I want. So you can make whatever question it is. All right. This next section, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to do one thing for me. I'm going to move out of this tab for a bit. So if you could go to the Zoom tab that you're on and watch from there, just because I don't want you to miss out on what I'm showing you. So you don't exit out of the FigJam, but just go open the Zoom tab that you have in your browser, and I will demonstrate the next thing for you. All right, so no need to be in the file with me. I'm just going to go ahead and direct you really quick and move things around from the Zoom tab. Awesome. So what we have here is we're going to talk about how to integrate media for one-tab learning. And this is crucial. This is key. When we're talking about setting kids up for industry, we're talking about them to become pretty fluent in just a couple of tools. I don't use 20 different tools when it comes to my work. However, when I was teaching, I sometimes give kids 20 different tools. They're on an Edpuzzle. They're on a Nearpod. They're on working in like a Music Chrome lab. They're working on Google Slides, a Google Doc, a Google Sheet. I have them do all these things with different modalities, which is great. But how can I really try to synthesize, or I guess bubble down, to try not to send my kids to all these different places? And also, if you've ever taught a 6-period class, you know that your students sometimes come into 6th period with like 25 tabs open, and it's sad. So what I'm going to do is show you how you can try to centralize your resources for students. Okay. So here I am on Nat Geo. I'm going to go ahead and delete this right here, but I want my kids to read. Let's say we're studying, I used to teach 3rd grade earth science. We studied the water cycle. I'm going to copy this URL, hit Control C. Okay. Go into my FigJam, and I could hyperlink this. So I could hyperlink this right here, hit Control V, and they could find this link here. But this is pretty inaccessible. If we're talking from like an accessibility standpoint, all it says is read this. I could say read this article, and that's a little bit better. But from students who suffer from like overstimulation of text, this is like killing them. So what I like to do when bringing in my links is I copy that URL and just simply hit Control C and then go onto the canvas where I want it to plop, hit Control V. And it makes this nice preview card. This is a lot more accessible for students. They can see what they're about to click on before they go there. And it's really nice. This is like when you're sending a recipe from the New York Times to your Aunt Susie, it pops up in your iPhone, your Android as a little card preview as it is like this. So how can we even make our lessons appear as the rest of the world does digitally? All right, next what we have here is a YouTube video. Same thing. If you were to copy and paste a YouTube video, it makes a nice little card. But what's fantastic about this is I'm watching the YouTube video inside of FigJam. And this plays individually on each computer. So if I have 5 students and they're watching at a different pace, it's not going to be controlled by one student. I can pop that back, I can pause it, and it will save my progress in that video. Really nice. I can also watch full screen view, but I like to pop it out in this little iframe right here. Next, I can go ahead and click on a Google Doc. If I copied and pasted a Google Doc into my FigJam, you can go ahead and you can bring Google Docs, Google Slides, and other things into your FigJams. And you can see that I have not left this tab at all. I've not left the tab at all. So it's really giving kids a chance to make sure that they have tools that are centralized. And FigJam does a really good job of packaging kind of those more hyperdoc styled lessons that are a little bit easier to digest than just a whole bunch of links that look like this. All right, next up, which I'm going to demonstrate, and again, you'll most likely see this if you're on the Zoom tab, is how to bring in sheets and how to bring in tables into your FigJams. So I know a lot of you probably organize your groups in Sheets, or you organize your rubrics, or maybe you're on AI apps like Magic School or ChatGPT helping you create these rubrics. You can copy and paste those all into FigJam and then fully edit them inside of FigJam. So I'm going to demonstrate with a little sheet I have here, teaching some chemistry here, okay? And I can go ahead and I can now fully edit this. This is a table that's fully editable. It's not my favorite table because, I want to add some color here. So I can multi-select these cells by holding Shift, make these green, give some more weight, give some more, I guess you could say, visualization to the front here. What's nice about these tables, if I were to highlight something on these tables, the table actually is stickable. I don't even know if that's a word Figma would be embarrassed I'm saying, but the highlighter stays contained to that element. It is an attached instance. It's not detached, which is really nice. So you don't have to I know on Jamboard, you had to drag everything separately. Things in FigJam do stick. Okay, and that's bringing in multimedia. All right, enough of me blabbing. Let's get some photos. Come on back to the FigJam, folks. And I'm going to spotlight myself again. Or you can go ahead and you can click on my picture. Now, we're going to make a little photo album together because I'm just feeling a little sentimental now. And I know we're going to have to say goodbye in about 15 minutes. So I would like you to go ahead and zoom into the photo booth tab. There's like 4 of them. So find one and you're going to click on it and it's going to pop up and you're going to take a photo. And usually when I'm talking and taking a photo, I'm not sure if this happens all the time, but sometimes my eyes are closed. I look a little tired there, and that's fine. Let's say if I'm, feeling embarrassed by my photo, I don't want, really, I could Elton Johnify by adding some glasses there. There we go. Fantastic. Nice. Now we're cooking with gas. Love it. Okay. So go ahead and you might have to allow, nice, Vance, wonderful. You might need to allow your camera to be accessed by FigJam. Go ahead and do that. And we'll make a quick little photo album. So you'll take a photo and then drag it on down to the bottom. And then add some stickers. Go to the More section down below and find some stickers and add those in. And let me know if you're having trouble. You can let us know in the chat. You might need to zoom in a little bit closely. Awesome. Linda, see you in there. Kelly, howdy. Great to see you. Let me know in the chat. Sorry, is someone talking real quick? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that mine is set for my wrong camera. I don't know if there's somewhere in the settings here to change that.
Gotcha. Randy, I'm loving this photo. Randy is outside in a field somehow with amazing building behind, and the sky is looking great. Randy, this is I one of the most glorious photos I've ever seen. Shout out to Randy. I'm going to go ahead and give you some heart corners on that wonderful, wonderful photo of yours. And then Vance, wow, Vance really came prepared today. I love that. This is actually, Vance, what my students would do when they didn't want their face seen. They would add these stickers on, and oh, it was so much fun. So fun. I love that. Super great. Nice, Steven. Great to see you. Whitney. Oh, this is so fun. And what's great about this is like, I'm able to see y'all. I'm able to interact with you. And we're like hundreds of miles apart. And the reality is a lot of kids, the landscape of jobs they're going to be heading into, there's a lot of remote work. There's a lot of things that they are going to be able to access that we weren't able to access, or careers we were never able to think of when we were entering the job market. And so it's how can we create these spaces and these places for kids to build like really solid bonds. Like for example, I'm going to have to call Randy after this because I don't have his phone number yet, but I'm going to call Randy and ask like, how's the field that you're sitting in with the building behind you? And we're going to chat. It's going to be great. So FigJam's a pretty awesome space and my students, again, I just kind of followed them into this. They started showing me how to take pictures. They started showing me how to add stamps. They started showing me how to take polls and add things in. It was really fun to kind of be guided by them. And these are widgets. Another widget I want you to look at is the voice widget. So you can record with the voice widget, which is really nice. And the voice widgets I have just kind of a little stack right here. You can grab a voice widget and plop it onto your card right here. And I could go ahead and record my name. I could say, hello, everyone. My name is David Curran, pronounced David Curran. And I can end that recording. I can go ahead and hide the title, shrink it down, and plop it onto my card. And all of that kind of sticks and stays, except for the stickers, which is nice. This is what my students would do in the beginning. Oh my gosh. Amaris, I think I might be pronouncing your name correctly, but those, yeah, your eyes, you look very awake, very awake. But it's nice. Like my students oftentimes would have their names mispronounced, or they wanted to go by a different name that was on the roster. So it was great to like, for me as a teacher to, have these little voice widgets. Also, if you add anything onto the canvas that you don't mean to, you can go ahead and just hit Control Z. See some widgets flying on there. You can hit Control Z if you don't mean to add something. Like, wow, we got a lot of cameras in here. Y'all are just very photogenic. All the cameras needed. And this is fun. We've made a fun little artifact now. We can go back. We can collaborate on. We can even maybe have this as like an icebreaker before we start some more rigorous work. Okay. Another thing that I really love is if you're following me on FigJam, you might want to do that. So again, click on my picture in the top right, or you can go ahead and you can just watch the Zoom screen, but I can make teams really quick. So I know we got about 20 people in the file. I'm gonna make 5 teams of 4, and let's randomize it. And right now we have some teams, okay? Looks like I'm working on a team with Carrie, Tanya, and Jennifer. I'm on team 3. And if I needed to really quickly just put kids in groups, I can use a widget for teams, which is really, really nice. I often would have like my table groups, but I wanted them to work cross-functionally with everyone in the class, not just those 5 people for those 5 weeks. You can also join teams, like Jennifer's like, get me out of David's team. You can join Linda's team if you want to. That's fine. Another thing that I really like is the spinner widget. So if I go over to the spinner widget, which is under widgets, I type in spinner. I can go ahead and add the spinner widget down here, and I can go ahead and spin it. It's kind of like the wheel of names, but really exciting in FigJam. And our lucky winner right here is Steven. Steven's now going to he's going to lead us in the cha-cha slide. Thank you for volunteering, Steven. Wonderful. So it's really nice. You have these little widgets, these things that can make your lessons come to life and also make your life a little easier by organization and stuff like that. All right, so we're just about at 10 minutes, which is perfect. And I'd like to go ahead and open up the floor for questions. So I have some sticky notes here, and there's 2 activities you can partake in now. We're going to spend about 5 minutes doing this asynchronously. You can add in your questions, or you can, if you have some ideas, I would love to hear from you. Like the true professionals of education, I would love to hear from you. How could you see FigJam being used in the classroom? Maybe how could you see it being used in ELA, history, science? My music teacher, please add in some ideas as how you could use this in music with other. So right now we're going to go ahead and spend about 5 minutes, and we're going to either add questions, which I'll be answering as we go, and we're also going to be answering adding in some classroom use ideas, which is great. Awesome. You can see some folks have been adding in templates in there, which is fantastic. I'll show templates kind of at the end here. But let me go and delete that right now just for visibility of what it is that we're doing. Nice. Again, folks, if you could go ahead, if you're wondering where we are in the file, I will drop a link in the chat again, and you will be in the space of our file that we are on. You'll also notice that when I did copy and paste that URL, each location in FigJam is kind of geotagged. So if I wanted to even make like a index of where things are, I could hyperlink all of my sections in like one space so kids can click and find that easily. Oh my gosh, I have completely ignored the Zoom chat this whole time. Please forgive me. Someone is driving while in this chat. This is amazing. Kudos to you. And then great question. Kay Culver asked a question in the chat. Is there a way to turn off students' ability to see who voted on which side? If I need that for a lesson. So one thing you can do is some of the widgets you can make anonymous voting. With the stamps, they're always visible with whoever that is attached to. So as long as students are signed in, their stamps will always be read as their name. So that's something, however you can, if you want to, like the marker tool or the shapes tool does not have a name attachment to it. So you could add like a quick little sketch or a star with the marker to signify a vote without a name attached. So great question, Kay. Stephen asks, can you publish, this is, again, I'm going through the Zoom chat first. Stephen asks, can you publish a FigJam so it's view only, i.e. set it up the way you want so you can share it as a resource? Absolutely, Stephen. So if I go in, if you are on the Zoom chat, you'll see this, but you will not see it if you're in FigJam. If you're in the Zoom chat and want to check out Stephen's question, I have the ability to share this in a couple of different ways. I go to the top right and click share. Now, right now, anyone with the link can edit this file. If I want to change it to everyone can view the file, I can. And then let's say like this is great for previewing content with students where you don't want them to edit things. You just want them in the file following you. I would sometimes make it view only for the first 5 minutes while I'm demoing what it is they're going to do, especially for like a larger project. And then I switched on to edit once we kind of have agreed to our classroom norms of how we're going to behave. Yeah, you can also publish if you want to. You could publish your, you can publish to like FigJam proper, and you can even have this as a resource for other folks where they can find and edit and use your resources. All right. Kathy had a question. Does it need to be just a Google Doc or can it work with Word? I'm not sure, Kathy. I haven't actually tried that with a Word. It depends on if there's a URL or if it's able to be hyperlinked. I know that works with the links, but I've never attempted a Word document, but that could be great. I know you can bring PDFs into FigJam, but I've never tried the Word document. You've given me a little assignment, Kathy. Thank you. Oh, and then Randall's, sharing, that you're actually green screened, and it's okay. I'm not disappointed. I also have one behind me, but not right now. Let's see. Patricia, if the camera's not working, sometimes I refresh the tab, or sometimes I have to turn off, depending on your computer settings. I turn off my camera on Zoom, or have to change something on the back end while I'm running both Zoom and also editing a photo in another platform. I think Randall might have left, but Randall, so good to see you. Thanks for being here. Okay, I'm going to dive in now. Looks like I've got about 5 more minutes. And I'm going to dive into some of these questions here. Oh, and I would love to read out some of your thoughts on classroom use in a moment. Okay, question over here. How do you handle students who just play instead of doing what is being asked? This is a great question. This is kind of like the age-old question of using manipulatives. So when I was teaching 3rd grade math, I had students doing place value. And I remember the first day I was teaching place value. I'm like, let's dive into some really in-depth learning. And here's these manipulatives of these base 10 pieces and learn place value. And kids had them up their noses and were throwing them around the room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, come on. So what I learned from that was my instructor teacher said, you got to let them play sometimes. Get the wiggles out. Let them be kids before you ask them to be scholars, especially if you're introducing a new tool. So what I like to do is I like to, one, let kids play in FigJam before we do an assignment in FigJam. Let kids work in a FigJam by themselves before you bring it to a small group. definitely do not do what we just did today. Don't invite every kid to a FigJam at the first time they see it, because you're going to get some excitement there. One other thing I like to do is, if you look down below, if you spotlight me, one thing I like to do, and I did this for the first like 3 weeks of every FigJam that we did as a class, is I set classroom norms and expectations. This is done. I would do this with chart paper and other things. Kids are, signing their names in other processes, but in FigJam, I'd have them agree to these classroom norms by adding a stamp. So the first norm was, in the FigJam file, we respect and do not tamper with the contributions of others. In the FigJam file, we use uplifting, respectful language. And in the FigJam file, we make good decisions. So each kid would stamp these. And let's say if, Carrie, who has stamped that Carrie is going to behave in the FigJam file, if I see Carrie messing around and is like Xing out Vance's eyes, like, oh my gosh, I would go to Carrie and be like, hey, Carrie, let's circle back. You said that you were going to not tamper with the contributions of others. How can I help you? And now I'm having a conversation with Carrie, and not this authoritative back and forth. So I was able to avoid a lot of arguments with students by making sure that they accepted our norms and then went from there. Also, yeah, kind of use that progression of like kids work by themselves for like a week or two, small groups for a week or two, and then do like a full class setting. Can you talk briefly about the new AI features? I can. It has to be pretty brief, because we do have the AI features locked for education, because it's not, they use OpenAI. It's not, we want to be, as sound as we can with terms of service for students under 13. A lot of AI companies don't even care about that, but we're pretty strict with laws about that when it comes to Figma. So you cannot use FigJam with students, but you can use FigJam to build out a lesson. So for example, if I open up a new tab and go to figjam.new, you're only going to see this if you are in the Zoom tab. I can go in and I can make a brainstorm. Let's make a brainstorm for 5 groups on how to improve our school culture. Okay. And I can go ahead and generate this, and it's going to make a FigJam for me. And I just this is I only added in text. Okay. So let's go ahead and see. It's going to make the magic here. It's going to have an agenda for me. So people can go ahead and stamp their faces, like who's in this meeting actually. I can now write our meeting goals that we have, and then add some discussion topics. And then we can go ahead and for 10 minutes, talk about improving our school culture. We can then go ahead and add in some next steps, some tasks, and we can even assign that to people. And then we can, talk, here's my groups, my groups. It didn't maybe make my 5 groups, but I can very easily go ahead and I can duplicate this right here and make my groups here. And now I have a full functioning FigJam that I could edit or go off of to create a lesson. Now, what's tricky is you have to make this in your personal account and then copy and paste it over if you do deploy it through your district. Just because, terms of service want to be above board with that. Now I do know that we are running out of time. I would love to get to all the questions. So I want to check in with you, Vance. I know you wanted some time at the end. Do you think we could push it till 35 after, or should we stick to our hard stop?
No. I think we're good until 35 after.
Okay, awesome. Sweet. Well, I'll go and answer a few of these quickly. When doing groups, can you assign students only one section to work in so they cannot mess with other groups? Great question. You can assign groups. Let's say, for example, if I'm over here, I can have this be, let's call this group 1. I don't know what happened. I fell on my keyboard. Group 1's over here. And maybe there's some things I want them to do. Oh, that's a very small section. Let's make that a little bit larger. So I have some things I want them to do. I maybe can add in a video lesson. I can add in some other elements for them. Let's just pretend like they have some sticky notes in here. Okay. Now this is for group 1. I maybe also have shapes and connectors where they're making a timeline and they're adding in maybe their process for something. So here's their assignment. This is this is a very terrible assignment. But if I name this section group 1, if I click on this and hit Control D, it'll make a next section. Let's actually name this. I'll add in a couple more minutes here. Let's add in I'll add in 3 more minutes here. And let me go ahead and do that again. So if I name this table 1, and if I hit, let's make this red. I always worked with, rainbow association with colors. So if I had my table 1 is red, hit Control D, table 2, make that orange. Control D, table 3 is now yellow. And I can, if I want to be a little bit lazy, I can multi-select all of these, or efficient, ruling still out. I can now make a section for each table group. I can I can then go ahead and select all of these, give a little more breathing room. Now, the thing that you asked is, can you assign these so that students don't tamper with each other's work? Now, this is a little bit tricky where students can, if they want to, they can for sure go to other tables. Similar if like you're working on a Google Doc, they can be moved around and stuff can be edited. So I definitely go into like those classroom norms because everything, even in a setup like this, is fully functional. But you can go ahead and you do have version history to see who's tampering with what. Okay. So how do you create separate classes? I want a board for each period. Then can I merge them? Yeah, so you do have a whole backend organization system. So if you go to the top left and click back to files, you can make files. You can duplicate files. So each one is for a different class period. You can even make one file and then click on the top and duplicate it so you don't have to make it over and over again. And I think that's all of our questions here. Let's go ahead and look at some of y'all's thoughts. ELA, this would make a great project-based learning management tool for both the teacher and the students. Yeah, when my school last year, they actually used this to do the yearbook, which is a year-long project, right? You have many months, and they had different sections for each month. They had it broken down by tasks and then teams. And so it was pretty cool. And they actually designed the yearbook in Figma design, which is another conversation for another time. So Eric said, we're currently working on a long-term project to design a museum display for a local park. This would be a platform, be excellent for a collaborative project. I love that. And it'd be super fun too. Like if you're adding in, where they can go and maybe it's on sticky notes, maybe on something else, they can kind of just go ahead and do these like flash little drawings or prototypes where they're drawing in these different, exhibitions or whatever it may be. I'm gonna try to draw a slide here. It's gonna look real bad, but it's about, being brave in the file. There's my slide. It looks like a bent watering can, but that's okay. I love that. Eric, I think that's a fantastic idea. Again, like how do you hear from everyone? How can you create a space for multi-day learning? Game design, brainstorming, storyboard group projects. I love this. Stephen, absolutely. Absolutely. Did I give a +1? Yeah, I think I might have given a +1 to Eric. Love that. Game design, ideas for Spanish, 100%. There are even some tools, some widgets for translation. So if you have a translator, you can go ahead and translate things. So if I have, click here to enter a word, milk, or let's go chocolate. A Keenan Fellow's favorite. I can go ahead and translate that into Spanish. So let's go ahead and translate chocolate into Spanish. And then you just heard our timer go off, but let me go and find this. There we go, Spanish. And maybe it didn't quite work for me. There we go, auto detect chocolate. So there's some fun things you can do there. Love it. PBL, project-based learning lessons, all sorts of weather maps, 100%. Gosh, I could hang out for the rest of my day with all of you. You have some fantastic ideas. But that's all I have as far as the demonstration goes. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording here, and I'll be sending that to Vance as well. Actually, no, I have all of your emails in the Google